everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 6 of the Creature Commandos series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Max, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 6 of the Creature Commandos series, it's Jon Jon Rico!
Hello!
Hello!
Hi. Hey, how you doing?
I saw you racing the intro, typing more stuff onto our rundown.
Yes, I do still. I have last minute thoughts.
You be typing. That's what I put.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm both happy and sad that we're at episode 6 because we're the season, I guess, is almost over. Like I've been enjoying this series so much. I don't want it to be over yet. I wish we were getting like a 12 episode season type of thing. We just have like multiple storylines throughout the entire season. But yeah, I mean, kicking it right off the bat, another great episode. I mean, I got stuff that I really wanted. I mean, the biggest thing right off the bat, instant reaction, is I finally got the Gogo Bordello song that is my absolute favorite. I was telling you about this when we were starting to recap episode 1 and 2, that I knew the band, but I knew the band from my favorite song of theirs, and they hadn't used it yet. They used like a couple of the other songs that I knew but didn't like nearly as much. But we got it. The song is called Wanderlust King. And we got it during the whole sequence of, the backstory for Dr. Phosphorus. I love that song so much. This series just keeps giving me things that I want. Like, not only that, but I have a couple things that I really enjoyed. We got Weasel playing fetch with a group of wolves. I just thought that was such just like a fun little quick side quest for Weasel. It was just
nice little
cool.
bait and switch for what we thought was going to be a brutal battle between him and wild animals, and then just really just him playing around with them. Yeah,
it was just a happy time.
That's the true nature of Weasel right there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But like that kind of, just touching on that really quick is I enjoyed seeing all the different side quests that kind of led up to, the end of this episode. I thought was really cool, but it led up to what I thought was the coolest part. Not the coolest part, but one of the really cool like shots that we got in this episode. And it's that scene, that epic meetup scene, like right before the very end where we have the entire team coming back together.
Slow motion team walk up.
Yeah. For a split second, I forgot I was watching a cartoon. I was like, oh, this is a shot that you see in a normal movie.
Yeah, they were doing one of the classic team shots, which is very funny. Yeah.
I thought it was a super epic like shot to be ending on. And especially we have Bride with her last words right before we roll credits is time to kill a princess or something like along those lines. It was just a very epic scene to end the epic scene to end this episode, and I guess shoot us right off into the finale, which is going to be next week. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions for episode 6?
Yeah, one of the things that made me laugh during that little walking scene is just watching the way that Weasel kind of like waddles when he walks too. Like everyone has like their own specific kind of way that they walk, which is like, again, a testament to the animators too, the way they're able to just kind of give each little character their own little bit of personality, even in the way that they walk. It was just really funny because when I was watching that, I just immediately started laughing. But also like the frames themselves looked really beautiful. Like that last shot from behind them with the castle in the background was just like a really great shot for them to end on. But yeah, this was a really fantastic episode. I thought it really, like you said, like it balanced everything pretty well. We had a lot of different storylines that were jumping through like the entire time. Like it seemed like usually every episode we get like, the backstory on one character and then kind of like their main present day story is like the main focus of the episode with like a little bit of something else sprinkled in. But this one jumped around like pretty much to almost every single character within the series.
Yeah.
Since Phosphorus was on his own, that was their opportunity to go into his backstory, which I thought was pretty great. And it wrapped up with a nice little comedic moment, which thank God didn't end up in like another tragic moment given his
Yeah.
backstory.
Yeah.
We got to focus, again, on several different storylines that didn't feel out of place either. Like we didn't just like even the stuff with Weasel and the wolves had a nice little bow on it when he again it starts to go into his thoughts with the comparison between the girl and the princess, which is one of the things I actually kind of picked up on when he attacked Cersei in the beginning, right? So I was like, oh, cool. They really did actually have that little tie in there because I thought that was a nice little way to do that. And then him going, that was his decision to leave the wolves and go back to what he was supposed to do. So yeah, I think that was really great. But yeah, this show does not pull back on heavy imagery at all, especially when it came to Dr. Phosphorus's origin there. I didn't think they're actually going to show the bodies of his dead family just like laying the way they're there.
No.
But I guess given the way we saw how they handled the children's death in Weasel's episode too, I guess I should have been too surprised that they were willing to go that far. But the one thing it kind of reminds me of, and I guess is kind of what I'm almost expecting from a James Gunn's DCU type of approach, is that they seem to take more like an approach to the violence, almost like the way that like The Boys does with superhero violence, where it's like a more practical version of what would probably happen with these kind of powers, and especially like in this kind of circumstances, it's more turning somebody into a villain. Excuse me. But I think like just the fact that they're kind of embracing that kind of realism in the storytelling, I think just goes a long way into making these characters a lot more believable and growing an attachment to them in some form. But yeah, I just think it's really well done in the way they do it, because it's, even though it's pretty brutal imagery, it's done in a way that's conveying a pretty beautiful story at the same time. So it's it's a tough task to do, but he pulls it off really well.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I mean, you can feel the tragedy and the loss that happens in that, like in his backstory. I mean, we already knew it. I mean, it was something that we both said. We knew his backstory was going to be brutal. Like we knew that. We knew we only had two more backstories. So like, I'm guessing we're getting Nina's for the next episode, but like, yeah, we knew we were gonna have one or the other was gonna be this episode, and yeah, I mean, they, just like you said, did not hold anything back.
Yeah, and it's a tough thing to do too, because he's a character like they pointed out several times within the show itself that you can't tell what emotion that he's feeling because of his skeleton face. But there's a great line in this episode too, where it's like, it probably seems like I'm laughing or something like that, but I'm not. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, that's a really testament to like Alan Tudyk's performance right there too, because even though he's kind of come off as like the kind of psychotic comedic relief, you could tell that there's definitely some pain within that character as well. He just finds a different way to channel it. So that thing that was really this was a really great episode for that character, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was going to mention was seeing that connection that Weasel made with the little blonde girl and the princess.
Mm-hmm.
I was so worried right before we saw him meet up with Dr. Phosphorus, and then inevitably meet up with the rest of the team. I was so worried we were going to cut to him running to the castle and him getting shot, because he was going to be like, oh, I'm going to go back to the princess and help her type of thing. Because, obviously we were shown that connection. I think Weasel's going to have second thoughts about, doing anything to the princess, because he's still drawing that connection between the little blonde girl and the princess, looking like a grown up version of that girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so worried that we were going to, being that, this is a series that really doesn't hold anything back, I was so worried we were just going to cut to him running towards the castle and then being shot at and stuff. Oh, no. Please don't let that happen.
Yeah.
But do you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to give up big takeaways with pretty much the most obvious thing that was, that we got in this episode was Rick Flag is alive.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, he's not awake. He's alive.
Yeah, he's a shell of a man right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Broken
back, a bunch of internal damage, bleeding internally, just generally fucked up.
Yeah.
And we didn't get him waking up. We didn't get him, furthering any kind of story for that. I was really hoping, we were going to get something that Frankenstein was going to help him. Like maybe even like, how Frankenstein did end up getting on the jet and flying to, the country where the rest of the team is.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping he was going to take Rick Flag and then bring him to the cat, like to Frankenstein's castle type of thing, and repair him that way. I was really hoping for that. I mean, I do appreciate that he dropped him off at the hospital.
Yeah. Glad he knows he needed immediate attention.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I was hoping we were going to get some kind of supernatural or enhanced abilities for Rick Flag, giving him the excuse to be extended into other DCU stuff, basically. Because otherwise, he's just a human, which he still is, and he can, be killed off at any moment. Basically, in a universe of superheroes and supervillains and people with metahumans and everything like that,
He's got to rely on his knowledge and his natural abilities.
Right, exactly. But yeah, Rico, what were some of your big takeaways for episode 6?
Yeah, so aside from the Batman cameo that we got, which was really just like a blink and miss it kind of a shot of him, it was kind of cool to see like some shots of Gotham and stuff like that as well. But I think the real like kind of cool thing for me in this episode was actually getting to see the character Rupert Thorne on this as a big part of Dr. Phosphorus's origin. Obviously, it's a part of Phosphorus's origin within the comics as well. I believe he worked for Rupert Thorne, just like in this, like as a scientist. And so the one thing I really did like the most was the fact that his character design was actually very much similar to the way he looked back in the 90s in the Batman animated series. Because this character I believe was also had ties to the origin of Clayface as well. Which is cool because we just saw Clayface in the last episode also. So I think it's just kind of cool that we're getting all these characters within this same little mythos here. Obviously, Phosphorus is known for being a Batman villain also. So that's also like, just getting to see his rise in power overall and the way that he was able to take over for Thorne's empire at that point was really fun. And then getting that like that last little shot of Batman too, just to show like, okay, that's how we end up getting him to where he is now too.
Right.
So that was pretty awesome. We didn't need to see the fight. That was just like them being like, yeah, okay, this is how this character got here. It's like he encountered that guy. I was like, okay, we know how that ended up for him. But one thing I really did like was like the overall look of Gotham, and too is not just Rupert Thorne actually looked a lot like the Gotham that we see in Batman the animated series, which is kind of like this like more old school kind of a Gotham look, not necessarily like a modern day look where they're using like modern day cars. It looks like more like a 40s detective kind of a city in a way, like like the way detective noir cities kind of feel when you watch those kind of stories. So yeah, I did like that overall. But that's not the only like Batman franchise I got vibes from this episode too, because Phosphorus's henchmen when they were doing like the whole dance sequence in the club and all that, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
The way that their faces are painted and stuff like that. Do you remember in Batman Forever when Robin takes like the car, the motorcycle, something like that to go on to go racing, and it's like those glow in the dark face people like the gang, and then he's like, I'm Batman. He goes, you're not really Batman. He goes, no, I'm actually Batman. And he's just telling him, he's just kind of faking it to get the girl's attention. But the way that those guys are like their faces are painted, like kind of the glowy skull kind of faces, definitely like made me think like, oh, maybe in this universe those are actually like Phosphorus's henchmen. Like even if he wasn't even around back there, like I can now add that in my own little canon now if I want to. Like
we're retconning it in.
Yeah, I'm retconning into my own brain now. So I thought that was actually kind of a little fun connection. Because I wonder if they did that on purpose, just to be like, yeah, if you remember those specific guys from that Batman movie, that'd be kind of fun to kind of put those kind of things together.
Yeah, I mean, I did not even think about that connection, but now that you're talking about it, it's like the memory of that is starting to surface again. But yeah, I mean, I think James Gunn is pretty knowledgeable about the source, like any material that he can kind of hint at and pull stuff from. I'm sure the ties that you're connecting or the connections that you're talking about for these little breadcrumbs, these little Easter eggs and stuff like that. I'm sure he planned this. Like that, you know what I mean?
I think there was a gang in the Batman and Robin movie too, where like Bane and Poison Ivy take like a layer from like another gang or something like that, and they kind of remind me of them as well. Like, there's so many different connections I can make to those weird camping movies now.
As long as there's no nipples on the suits, then
Yes.
yeah. You want to get into some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick off predictions? They can be bold. They can be off the cuff. We just need predictions.
Yeah. Well, so it's crazy because we don't usually get like 7-episode seasons of really any show. So it does feel like, I definitely would like one more episode before like a big finale wrap up. But here we go. We're like on our way there. I guess one of the things I'm really interested, aside from getting Nina's storyline, because I think that's probably the biggest. She's the character I'm probably most interested in still. Because even in this episode, there were chances for her to get really brutal, and I think she still didn't. She chose not to. You know, Brian was still kicking that ass, so we were still good there. But I'm interested to see like what the why Waller is so invested now in Flag when she was just so willing to like let him go before. Like, obviously he's a vital asset regardless if they're on good terms or not. But now it seems like she actually does have like a soft spot for him because she was rooting for him to like to make it. Even though they kind of have like that tough exterior exchanges towards each other most of the time. So I'm interested to see that what kind of payoff that gets in the next episode. Unless Flash is going to be out of commission for the rest of the season, and then that's just something we pick up in season 2, which is awesome that we're getting to season 2, by the way.
Yeah.
So but I think really just seeing everything kind of clash at the castle, I guess, which I guess is a funny term, but yeah, just seeing everything with the princess and stuff and how that's all going to play out and what decisions are going to be made, like you mentioned earlier. What kind of decisions like a character like Weasel is going to make when he gets to that situation. We know what when he sees Bride trying to kill the princess, is he going to end up turning on the Bride? I think that there's some interesting things that could be at play there, and watching all these different character dynamics play out, and also we got Frankenstein on his way over there too. So there's going to be quite a few storylines crossing over, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, basically just going exactly off of what you were talking about, all roads lead to the castle. Like, we had the very end, we had, Frankenstein landing. So we know he's already on the ground there.
Yeah.
We know, they're the entire team minus Flag are, overlooking the castle. So they're there. Yeah, I think exactly like you said, I think all storylines are leading to this. And I'm very curious to see the outcome of this episode, because it's like, I don't know if we're gonna have like the group splinters and we're gonna have like Weasel and Frankenstein trying to stop Bride and Phosphorus from killing the princess, or if we're gonna have them kind of all talking and going like, this doesn't feel right, like what are we doing, type of thing. Because I think Frankenstein's going to say that Rick Flag told me that something like is wrong, type of thing. He's obviously going to use that because he still thinks that the Bride respects Rick Flag, type of thing. Because you know what I mean. So I think it's going to be one of the. I'm interested to see what the final showdown is, because we know there's going to be one, but I'm just very curious. Or, I mean, go completely crazy, completely bold prediction. What if the princess really just is evil, and then we really do just have to take her out? Like, we find that out. Like, we do like an infight with the team, and then we have the heel turn of the princess all of a sudden, and we go, oh shit, we really do have to defeat her, like type of thing. And so maybe the answer isn't killing her, but arresting her, like type of thing. Like, maybe that's like the whole bold crazy thing that ends up happening, that type of thing. I'm just very interested to see like that final showdown. Like, I'm curious what's going to happen. Beyond that, I would love to see some shots of a Nina backstory, because I feel like we've got it for every other character, so there's a reason why we're holding out for it, type of thing. Like, there has to be some. I don't know if maybe she's going to be like the one that is like Bride.
It's going to be a full circle moment with her origin, and a moment that happens in this big fight, I feel like.
Exactly. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to come into play for this final episode. And yeah, I'm just excited. Like I said, that that you mentioned, it's already been renewed for a second season.
Mhm.
So no matter what, I'm excited past this because I've enjoyed this season so far, like so much that I can't wait to get another season. And the fact that it's been renewed so quick, it's like, they can have already started writing storylines. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and
same
if
everything.
characters aren't making it out of this season, then that gives them an opportunity to bring in new characters, members of the team as well, which is another whole, rabbit hole we can go down, which is possible new members too.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe that's our predictions for the next episode that we're end up recapping next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research on who's been in this group.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm so excited for the finale. I'm so excited, beyond the finale. I'm so excited for Nita's backstory. Just so many things. There's just so many things.
Yeah, same. Big same.
Exactly. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 6? What was your favorite side quest of the characters on the way to get to the castle at the end of this episode? Do you think Rick Flag is going to wake up for the finale and somehow end up there? Or is he just going to be out until season 2? And, what characters do you think are going to make it from this season to the second season? There are no wrong answers in any of those questions. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.